£120,000. That's what a cloud security engineer earns with 3 years worth of experience in UK. In the US, it's over $180,000. And the crazy part, there aren't enough people to fill these roles. But here's the problem. Every roadmap video tells you to get 5 certifications, learn 3 programming languages, and master Kubernetes before breakfast. No wonder people give up before they start. I'm going to give you the actual path, the one that works. You're starting from scratch. 1 cloud platform, 2 certifications max, and a set of projects that will make your GitHub speak louder than any CV. Now, here's what we're covering, and I'm not wasting your time with filler. How to learn cloud from zero for free. Only 2 certifications worth your money. How to learn Terraform and Python without a computer science degree. How to build a cloud security lab using free credits from AWS, Azure, or GCP. How to create a GitHub portfolio that hiring managers actually click on. And the exact job application strategy that gets you conversations, not rejections. Everything in one video. Let's go. Quick context so you understand why this matters. Every company is moving to the cloud, whether it's AWS, whether it's Azure, whether it's Google Cloud. That's where the data lives now. And someone who needs to secure it, that's a cloud security engineer. But here's what makes this role different from a traditional SOC analyst or GRC role. Cloud security engineers, they don't just write policies or watch alerts. They build security, they write code that automatically detects threats. They design infrastructure that's secure by default. They automate what used to make an entire teams to do manually. This is where cybersecurity is heading. The companies are hiring right now. They aren't looking for people who can click buttons in a console. They want engineers who can write a Terraform module that deploys a hardened cloud environment in minutes, who can write a Python script that automatically remediates a misconfigured S3 bucket, who can set up CI/CD pipeline that scans infrastructure for vulnerabilities before it ever goes live. The demand is massive, the supply is tiny, and the pay reflects it. Imagine this, junior cloud security engineer starts at £55,000 to £70,000. Mid-level hits £80,000 to £100,000, and senior cloud security engineers and architects, they go up to £120,000 to £150,000 plus. Now let me show you how to get there. Phase 1, Cloud and Linux Fundamentals. That's your first and second month. So, Phase 1 is all about foundations, and I need you to resist the temptation to skip this because you want to get to the cool stuff. But the cool stuff breaks if your foundation is weak. First decision, pick 1 cloud platform, not 3, just 1. AWS if you want the broadest job market. It's the biggest cloud provider globally, and the most security jobs postings mention it. Azure if you're UK-based or targeting enterprise environment. Microsoft shops are everywhere, and Azure is growing fast in the security space. GCP if you want to work at tech-forward companies. Smaller market, but less competition. My recommendation for most people, start with AWS. Largest ecosystem, most learning resources, biggest job market. You can add Azure later once you are employed. Here's what you need to learn in month 1. What the cloud actually is. Compute, storage, networking, and databases as a service. Understand the shared responsibility model, what the cloud provider secures versus what you need to secure. This concept comes up in every interview. Core services such as EC2, virtual machines, S3 as storage, VPC, which is networking, IAM, which is identity and access management. Don't try to learn all 200 plus AWS services. These 4 cover 80% of what you will encounter. The CLI and console that's where cloud security engineers live. They live in a command line, not the graphical interface. Learn the AWS CLI or Azure CLI from day 1. Every action you can do by clicking Learn to do it by typing a command. Next, it's IAM fundamentals. Users, roles, policies, least privilege. IAM misconfigurations are the #1 cause of cloud breaches. If you understand IAM deeply, you are already more valuable than half the candidates out there. Now next, Linux, the non-negotiable. Cloud runs on Linux. Full stop. If you can't navigate a Linux terminal, you can't do this job. You don't need to become a sysadmin. You need to be comfortable with file navigation, such as commands like ls, cd, cat, grep, find, and chmod. Text processing, such as awk, sed, typing commands together. Package management, such as apt and yum, installing and updating software. SSH, connecting to remote servers securely. Basic scripting, writing simple bash scripts to automate repetitive tasks. You need to spend 2 weeks on this. Over-the-Wire Bandit is a free and teaches Linux through puzzles. Start here. Then install Ubuntu on a virtual machine and force yourself to use the terminal for everything. Now, the resources for this phase 1 is AWS free tier, so Amazon.com, AWS, 12 months of free access to core services. This is your learning playground. You can also set up an Azure free account, which when you set it up, you get £150 credit for 30 days plus 12 months of free services. You can also set up a GCP free tier, again, £230 worth of credit for 90 days, plus always free tier. Next is Adrian Cantrell's AWS courses. It's at learn.cantrell.io. Best AWS training available. Not free, but worth every single penny. Now, next is free Codecamp AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner course. That's free on YouTube. Excellent starting point. Over the Wire Bandit, again, overtheWire.org/wargames/bandit. Free Linux command line challenges. Then, KillerCoder. KillerCoder.com. It's a free interactive Linux and Kubernetes scenarios in your browser and no setup needed. Linux Journey, again, linuxjourney.com, free structured Linux curriculum. Now, jump into phase 2. Security fundamentals and infrastructure as code. That's what you're going to do in your month 2 and 3 of your journey. Phase 2 is where you start combining security knowledge with engineering skills that make this role unique. 2 tracks running in parallel. First, security fundamentals. You need a baseline security knowledge. That's where CompTIA Security Plus covers this, and it's recognized universally. Same study method as my SOC blueprint, Professor Mess's free course, Jason Dion's practice exams on Udemy. Book the exam date early. But here's the plot twist for cloud security. While studying Security Plus, pay extra attention to these topics because they're the ones you'll use daily. Identity and access management, such as authentication, authorization, federation, SSO, multi-factor. This is everything in cloud security. Encryption, whether it's at rest, in transit, and key management. Every cloud service has encryption options. You need to know when and how to use them. Network security, such as firewalls, segmentation, VPNs. In the cloud, these become security groups, network access control lists, and VPC peering. Logging and monitoring. How you detect threats. In AWS, this is CloudTrail, GuardDuty, and CloudWatch. Understand the concept deeply. Security Plus exam, approximately £350 or close to $500. This is certification number 1 of 2. That's it. 2 certs maximum in this blueprint. Next is infrastructure as code, otherwise known as Terraform. Now, the engineering part. Infrastructure as code, or IAC, is the skill that separates cloud security analyst from cloud security engineer. And the difference in salary can be from £20,000 to £40,000. IAC means you define your cloud infrastructure in code files instead of clicking through a console. You write a file that says, I want a server within this security group in this network with encryption enabled. You run a command and it builds everything automatically, consistently, repeatably, every single time. The tool you need to learn is Terraform. It works across AWS, Azure, and GCP, so the skill is portable and the most in-demand IAC tool in job postings by a huge margin. Here's how to learn it. Start with HashiCorp's free Terraform tutorials. You can find them in developer.hashicorp.com. They walk you through everything from installation to your first deployment. Do every single exercise. Number 2, deploy something real. Use your AWS free tier. Write a Terraform code that creates a VPC with a public and private subnets, security groups, and an EC2 instance. Then, destroy it all with one command. That is your first wow moment. Number 3, add security to everything. Enable encryption on every resource. Restrict security groups to a minimum required ports. Apply least privilege to IAM roles. This where cloud meets security. Number 4, version control everything. Every Terraform file goes into a Git repository. Learn basic Git, init, add, commit, and push commands. Your GitHub becomes your portfolio. And then Python, the automation language. You don't need to become a software developer. You need enough Python to automate security tasks. What does that actually mean? Well, here's what cloud security engineers use Python for. They're writing Lambda functions that automatically remediate security findings. They are parsing CloudTrail logs to find suspicious API calls. They are automating security group audits across hundreds of accounts. They're also building custom detection rules that feed into your SIEM, generating compliance reports from cloud resource inventories. Learn these Python fundamentals such as variables, functions, loops, conditionals, working with JSON, and making API calls with the Boto3 library. That's AWS's Python SDK. That covers 90% of what you will need. Free resource, automate the boring stuff with Python. Free to read online. Then immediately apply what you learn to cloud tasks. Write a Python script that lists all S3 buckets and checks if encryption is enabled. That single project teaches you more than 100 tutorials. Now, some of the resources that are mentioned for phase 2. Again, Professor Messer's Security Plus. That's SYO701 free on YouTube. HashiCorp Terraform tutorials, as I mentioned, developer.hashicorp.com. Free, official, and excellent. Terraform Up and Running by 𝐬𝐮𝐫𝐞. Best Terraform book available, and that's worth buying. Automate the boring stuff with Python. So again, that's automatetheboringstuff.com. Free to read online. AWS SDK for Python and Boto3 documentation. Free. Learn by building small security scripts. Git and GitHub. Free. CodeCamp's Git tutorial on YouTube is solid. Learn the basics in one afternoon. 𝐾𝐨𝐺, 𝐾𝐨𝐺.com. That's a free interactive Terraform and Kubernetes scenarios to play with. Now, phase 3. That's Cloud Security Deep Dive. That's where you're going to be studying in months 3 to 5. This is where you become genuinely dangerous. Phase 3 is all about depth. You're building real projects, real labs, and real skills that make employers take notice. Every cloud platform has a native security services. These are your tools. You need to know them inside out for your chosen platform. If you choose AWS, that's IAM, roles, policies, permission boundaries, access analyzer. This is your bread and butter. CloudTrail logs every API call in your account, your audit trail, your incident response data source. GuardDuty, that's threat detection, analyzes CloudTrail, VPS flow logs, and DNS logs to find malicious activity. Security Hub, that's centralized security findings dashboard, aggregates results from multiple services. Config, that tracks resource configurations and evaluates them against rules. LS encryption enabled on all S3 buckets? Well, the config will tell you. KMS, That's a key management service. It controls encryption keys across your environment. WAF and Shield. That is Web Application Firewall and DDoS protection. If you choose Azure, the equivalents are Microsoft Defender for Cloud, Azure Sentinel, Azure Policy, Azure Key Vault, Enter ID, formerly Azure AD, and network security groups. Same concepts, but just different names. Now, building your cloud security lab. This is where it gets real. You're going to build a working cloud security environment using free credits, not a theoretical exercise, a real, functional security operations environment in the cloud. Here's how to get free credits. AWS free tier, that's 12 months of free services to core services including EC2, S3, Lambda, CloudTrail, and more. Set up billing alerts immediately so you never get charged. Azure free account, that's £150 worth of credits for 30 days, plus 55 plus services free for 12 months. Azure for students gives you £80 without a credit card. GCP free tier, that's £230 worth of credits for 90 days, plus an always free tier that includes a small VM, Cloud Functions, and BigQuery. Now, here's what you're going to build. 5 projects. Each one becomes a repository on your GitHub. Each one demonstrates a specific skill employers are looking for. First, secure landing zone using Terraform. So, use Terraform to deploy a multi-account or multi-VPC environment with proper network segmentation, security groups locked down to least privileged, encryption enabled on all storage, and CloudTrail logging everything. This is what companies actually need built. Document the architecture with a diagram. Number 2, automated IAM audit using Python. So, write a Python script using Boto 3 that scans your AWS account for IAM risks, such as users with no MFA enabled, and used access keys that are older than 90 days, overly permissive policies. Output a clean report. This demonstrates you understand IAM security and automation. Next, detection pipeline. That's CloudTrail plus SIM. Set up a CloudTrail to log all API activity. Feed those logs into a SIM, either AWS's native security hub or an open source option like Wazoo or Elastic. Write a custom detection rules that alert on suspicious activity, console logins from unusual locations, new IAM users created, security groups open to the internet. Number 4, automated remediation using Lambda. This one that impresses the hiring managers the most. Write a Lambda function triggered by a security finding that automatically fixes the problem. Example, S3 bucket made public. Well, Lambda detects it via config rule, automatically sets it back to private, and sends a Slack notification. Fully automated, zero human intervention. This is what cloud security engineering looks like in a production environment. And number 5, CI/CD security pipeline. Set up a basic GitHub Actions pipeline that runs security checks on your Terraform code before it gets deployed. You can use tools like DFSec, Checkov, or Trivy to scan your infrastructure code for misconfigurations. If the scan fails, the deployment stops. This is shift-left security, catching problems before they reach production. Every single one of these projects goes on GitHub with a clear README, explaining what it does, why it matters, and how to deploy it. Screenshots, architecture diagrams. This is your portfolio. The resources for this section include AWS Amazon, obviously free, set up billing alerts on day 1. Azure, again, £150 worth of free credits to start. GCP, cloud.google.com, again, £230 worth of credits for 90 days. Pwned Labs, so PWNED labs.io. Hands-on cloud security attack and defense labs. Excellent for building offensive understanding. Cloud Goat by Rhino Security. So github.com/Rhino Security Labs/Cloud Goat. Free, vulnerable by design AWS environment for practicing cloud attacks. Brilliant for understanding what you're defending against. Awesome CloudSec Labs, again, github.com/IKnowJSON/awesome CloudSec Labs, a curated list of free cloud security labs. Cloud Security Lab a week. That's SASLAW.securosis.com. I put all of these in a text up above me so you guys don't need to try and understand all of these specific words. That's one free cloud security lab per week, 15 to 30 minutes each. DFSec, again, that's a GitHub Aqua security tool, free Terraform security scanner. 𝐃𝐿, again, free IAC scanning tool. Works with Terraform, CloudFormation, and Kubernetes. Again, Privy, that's again Aqua Security, free vulnerability scanner for containers and IAC. Now, certification number 2, that's where you're going to tackle in month 4 and 5. I promised you 2 certifications maximum. Security Plus was number 1. Here's number 2, the CCSK, Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge from Cloud Security Alliance. Now you might ask, why CCSK and not the more expensive CCSP? There are 3 reasons. No experience requirement. CCSP needs 5 years worth of IT experience. CCSK has 0 prerequisites. Perfect for people building their career. Number 2, it's vendor neutral. Covers cloud security concepts across all platforms, whether it's AWS, whether it's Azure, whether it's GCP. Shows employers you understand cloud security principles, not just one provider's buttons. It's cost effective. The exam is approximately £350 and it's open book. Free prep materials are available from Cloud Security Alliance. Compare that to CCSP, which costs significantly more, plus annual maintenance fee. CCSK covers cloud architecture, IAM, data security, application security, incident response, and compliance in cloud environments. Everything you've been building in Phase 3 directly prepares you for this exam. That's 2 certifications, Security Plus CCSK. Total exam cost, approximately £700 or $1,000. That's it. Everything else on your CV comes from your projects and portfolio. The resources for CCSK is obviously CCSK exam from cloudsecurityalliance.org. Open book, 90 minutes, 60 questions. CSA Cloud Security Guidance version 4. That's a free PDF from Cloud Security Alliance. It's a primary study material. CSA Cloud Controls Matrix, again, free framework for cloud security controls. And NISA Cloud Computing Risk Assessment, that's free. Supplementary reading for the exam. And Cloud Security Guy on YouTube, that's free CCSK preparation content. Now, Phase 4, skills that gets you hired in month 5 to 7. At this point, you got the foundations, you got 2 certifications, and 5 portfolio projects. That's enough for junior roles. But if you want to skip the junior entirely and aim for mid-level and add the £20,000 to £30,000 salary bump that comes with it, these advanced skills are how you get there. So, container security. Containers are everywhere. Docker and Kubernetes run the majority of modern applications. And most companies are terrible at securing them. So, learn the basics of Docker. What is a container? How to build one? How images work? Then learn to scan container images for vulnerabilities using Trivy. Then understand Kubernetes pod security, network policies, and role-based access control. You don't need to become a Kubernetes expert, but you need to understand how to secure workloads running in containers. Killer Coder has free interactive Kubernetes security scenarios you can do in your browser. Next, detection as code. This concept will generally set you apart from 95% of candidates. Detection as code means writing your security detection rules as code files, version controlling them in Git, testing them, and deploying them through a CI/CD pipeline. Instead of manually creating alerts in a SIEM console, you write YAML or JSON files that define your detection logic. You test them against sample data. You push them through a pipeline that deploys them to your SIEM automatically. Tools to explore here are Sigma rules for vendor-agnostic detection logic, such as AWS CloudWatch custom metrics and alarms, or Elastic detection rules. Write 5 custom detection rules for common cloud threats and publish them on your GitHub with documentation. Next is automated compliance. Now, companies need to prove they're compliant with standards such as SOC 2, ISO 27001, and CIS benchmarks. Doing this manually is painful. Doing it with code is powerful. Learn how to use AWS config rules, Azure policy, or GCP organization policies to automatically check whether cloud resources meet compliance standards. Write a Terraform module that deploys a set of config rules checking CIS benchmark compliance across your entire AWS account. This demonstrates that you can bridge the gap between engineering and compliance, and that's a rare, valuable combination. Now, phase 5, you build a CV and the brand that converts it, month 7 to 8. Same formula I teach in every blueprint: action plus proof. Built for cloud security engineering, the proof is in your code. Your CV points to your GitHub. Your GitHub contains working projects that hiring managers actually deploy and test. The cloud security CV formula is, first of all, bad example, knowledge of AWS security services. That's a very bad sentence to add on your CV. A good one is engineered automated security remediation pipeline using AWS Lambda and config, reducing mean time to remediate S3 bucket misconfigurations from 4 hours to under 60 seconds. Another bad example is experience with infrastructure as code. Now, a great example to add would be developed the Terraform modules deploying hardened AWS landing zones with encrypted storage, least privilege IAM, and CAS benchmark compliant config rules, published as open source on GitHub. Another bad example, interested in cloud security. A good example looks like this. Build detection pipeline processing CloudTrail events through custom Python-based analysis, identifying and alerting on 12 MITRE attack techniques, including credential access and privilege escalation. Do you notice the pattern? Every statement has a specific technology, a measurable action, and demonstrable result. And everything links back to a GitHub repository where they can verify it. Your GitHub is your portfolio. Your GitHub profile should have a professional README on your profile page. Name, what you do, what you're building. Pinned repositories for each of your 5 portfolio projects. Each repo has a detailed README, what it does, architecture diagram, how to deploy it, and what security problem it solves. That's clean, commented code. Not perfect code, but readable code that shows you understand what you're building. Consistent commit history shows you're actively learning and building. Optional but powerful is write blog posts explaining your projects, whether it's Medium or Hashnode. They are free. How I built automated S3 remediation with Lambda and Terraform. That single article could land you an interview. Now, phase 6, the most important phase, landing the job. That's months 8 to 10. Target these roles: junior cloud security engineer, cloud security analyst, DevSecOps engineer, security automation engineer, cloud infrastructure security analyst, and platform security engineer. Don't limit yourself to companies with security in the name. Fintechs, SaaS companies, e-commerce platforms, healthcare tech. Every company is running a production workload in the cloud needs cloud security engineers. Now, your LinkedIn strategy should look like this. The headline is Cloud Security Engineer /AWS /Terraform /Python /Security Plus /CCSK are the keywords that recruiters search for, packed into one line. Featured section, pin your best GitHub repo, link to a blog post, show a project architecture diagram. Activity, post about what you're building. Today, I automated IAM key rotation with Lambda. Here's what I learned. Tag relevant hashtags. Cloud security content gets engagement because so few people create it. Now, how to approach the hiring manager and what messages to share. So, message looks like this. Hi, and then your name. Or their name, actually. I applied for the role and put the role name in here. I'm building my career in cloud security engineering, and I've built a portfolio of working projects including automated IAM auditing, Terraform deployed secure landing zones, and a Lambda-based remediation pipeline, all on my GitHub. I know my experience is early stage. I bet my projects demonstrate more practical capability than most applicants with years on paper. Happy to walk through any of them in 15 minutes and then add your GitHub link. That message does three things: shows initiative, demonstrates specific technical work, and challenges them to look at your code. Most hiring managers will click your GitHub out of curiosity. And when they see working, documented, well-structured security projects, you're getting an interview. Now, technical interview prep. Cloud security interviews will test your knowledge differently from SOC or GRC roles. Expect questions like, walk me through how you would secure a new AWS account from scratch. Another question, an AWS S3 bucket was made public and data was exposed. Talk me through your incident response. Or, how would you implement least privilege for a microservices application running on ECS? Explain the shared responsibility model and where it gets complicated. You find an IAM role with administrator access attached. What do? Practice answering these out loud. Use your project experience as evidence. In my lab environment, I handled this exact scenario by writing a config rule that detected overly permissive IAM roles and triggered the Lambda function to restrict them. Real examples from your portfolio beat textbook answers every time. Now, let's put it all together: the complete timeline and the costs, the full picture. Month 1 to 2, that's cloud foundations such as Linux, networking, one cloud platform, AWS or Azure, core services such as IAM, cloud practitioner level understanding, working CLI skills. Month 2 to 3, that's security plus IAC security fundamentals. That includes Terraform basics, Python scripting, cloud security services. Month 3 to 5, that's cloud security deep dive. That's IAM hardening, logging and monitoring, container security, CI/CD pipelines, and CCSK study portfolio of IIC security projects on GitHub. Month 5 to 7, that's advanced skills. That's a cloud-native SIM, detection as code, automated remediation, and multi-cloud exposure. Month 7 to 8, that's CV and brand action of your proof. GitHub portfolio polish, LinkedIn optimization, and blog posts. Month 8 to 10, that's job hunt, targeted applications, hiring manager outreach, technical interview prep. The goal is job offers and interviews. The total cost of Security Plus exam, that's $350. CCSK exam, that's another $350. Practice exams is about £15 or just over $20. Cloud credits are free. Terraform are free. Python is free. Even 𝐬𝐴 is free, and GitHub is free. All in, that's approximately £715 or just over $1,000 to completely change your career trajectory in one of the highest paid roles in cybersecurity. Optional edition, that's Adrian Cantrell's AWS course. That's £40, or Terraform Up and Running book, that's £30. Still under £800. Now, last section. That's the blueprint, one cloud platform, 2 certifications, 5 portfolio projects, and a GitHub profile that does talking for you. Cloud security engineering is where the industry is going. The companies that survive the next decade and the ones that automate their security, build it into their infrastructure, and hire engineers can make that happen. And that engineer could be you. Here's what I need from you. Drop a comment. Which cloud platform are you starting with? AWS, Azure, or GCP? I'll respond and tell you the first project to build on that platform. If this saved you months of confusion, hit the like button. It pushes that video to other people who are stuck right now. Subscribe. I release weekly content on breaking into cybersecurity, whether it's SOC, whether it's GRC, and cloud security paths, which we've covered now. No gatekeeping. If you haven't watched my SOC Analyst Blueprint or GRC Blueprint, links are in the description. Between these 3 videos, you've got every major entry point into cybersecurity mapped out. 10 months from now, you're either watching another roadmap video or you're deploying infrastructure as code in a role that pays more than you thought it was possible. The code doesn't write itself. So start today and let me know in the comments how you guys going to start your career. I want to see the successful stories that this video creates. I'll catch you in the next one.